Whatnauts Reactor Core number 65. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson.
Hello.
And Ignacio Rojas.
Hey, hello.
Are you guys excited to talk about Moon Knight?
Yes.
I am so stoked.
We are here for the first half of Moon Knight, episodes 1 through 3. Because Kyle was in the middle of a move and we couldn't record immediately after the first episode came out.
Blame it on me. I see.
No.
I see. Okay.
I wonder why we couldn't record anything for like 3 weeks.
It was my fault. I would have loved to be here week in and week out on all of that stuff, but instead we decided to do Moon Knight in 2 parts. This is part 1, covering the first 3 of Moon Knight. So, Ignacio, let's start with you. What are you thinking of Moon Knight so far?
I am enjoying it a lot. I think that Moon Knight is the Disney Plus show that I've enjoyed the most consistently, like throughout the beginning half, let's say it, because other shows, for example, fucking Winter Soldier come to mind. I only really liked 2 episodes at the middle of the show. And then for the other shows, it varied. But for me, Moon Knight, I've been pretty high on every episode so far. No, 3 episodes.
Yeah, same. I feel like this is kind of the start of the second batch of shows, right? We had our WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier and all that stuff. And this is like they started to apply some stuff to the later end of those that first batch there, but here with this one they really have the like, okay, what did we do wrong with our first ones? How could we make it more steady in keeping people's interest and stuff? Because I feel the same way. I'm not necessarily totally so high on the show. I'm like, wow, this is great, amazing. But I've been consistent at where I'm at. That I really like this, and I really feel like this is something different for the MCU. So, Melissa, what about you?
I think I'm also there. I think the show has been consistently very solid. It's done some impressive things. I'm having fun. And I'm excited to play in this new space we haven't been in before with new characters and see what kind of impact we're going to have on the MCU going forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it helps that it is the first one that is really a new character, that we're getting to explore a new character, whereas the previous ones were already established characters, whereas here we get the origin story of a character, but instead of being told in a 2-hour movie, we get 6 1-hour episodes, and I think that's helping with it.
Right? Yeah, it's that's kind of what I was just about to ask. Like, am I the only one that kind of knows of us 3 here, like who Moon Knight is, has a little bit of experience?
I've only seen the memes.
I've never read him, but I have had his deal explained to me.
Okay. So like Jerry Seinfeld's like, what's the deal with Moon Knight?
Right. I
got you.
I knew. Okay. I knew the elevator pitch of Moon Knight, the guy.
Gotcha. I've read a little bit of Moon Knight comics, not very, very much. I read there's like a 6-issue run that Warren there's a 6-issue run that Warren I cannot speak it, cannot say his name. That it's the same guy who writes the Castlevania show on Netflix. He wrote those comics. Those were fantastic. I've read an older run that I think Brian Michael Bendis did, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was Bendis and Mayleave. They did that, but I've not read much, and he's not a character that really sustains an ongoing series for long. You kind of have like, here's a 6-issue run, here's a 20-issue run, here's a this run, right? So I'm like base level familiar of like, okay, I kind of know maybe a little more than Melissa because I have read that, but still, like, I don't know much, and he's not really a character that is like super in the mainstream for Marvel comics and stuff. I think right now he's they had a run on the Avengers where Konshu is doing some stuff and taking over, and the Avengers have to be like, all right, dude, chill out. Let's not, make the whole Earth a moon worshipping cult here. But yeah, I'm excited to see this character brought to the mainstream and how he will interact with the MCU that we know. It's been kind of minimal, the references to other MCU stuff in this show, which I also think helps for new people coming to this. They don't need to know all the they just referenced this or that. So
if somebody just loves Oscar Isaac, they can show up having done very little research.
Absolutely. So I think that's also a strength of the show here that I like. But specifically Oscar Isaac, Ignacio, how are you liking his performance as this multitude of characters?
I think he is great. He really is a standout part of this show to me. He is, because he already has to act two characters at the same time, and I think he does that so very well, where both characters are very distinct, even with the way he acts, and I think he does it so very well. And I'm really loving his acting here in the show.
Melissa, what about you?
Same as everyone. Oscar good.
He is good, indeed. The thing that is standing out to me is the physicality of the performances. So in episode 1, we see him with this mysterious scarab that the bad guy, what's his name? Harrow? What's his
Arthur Harrow.
First name?
Mr.
Arthur.
Glass Shoes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That he wants this scarab back, and we don't know why. And there's this scene then where I guess Konshu or Mark or who knows what physically takes control of his body and is moving his arm, and he's it looks like there is something that is pulling him as he's being this is not me. I promise you. And I really, really like that. And then we got to see here in this latest one, I think it's in this latest one where he is he's in that court session, right? And Konshu is taking control, and he's yelling at the top of his lungs.
Incredible.
It's such a weird performance. There's weird choices, but man, it's working. It's working so well.
He gets to make so many different choices.
Yeah.
He in the third episode, he does the Green Goblin from the Raimi Spider-Man, where it's him talking as one character, then shot of the mirror, it's the other character, and I think he does it so very well. The transition in between characters.
Indeed.
Also, shout out to the fact that he might be the first Latino superhero in the MCU. Maybe we do not know. Maybe.
So it's interesting because he's not Mark. Stephen Grant is Jewish. I know that, but I don't know because on one he has this accent from that altar to this accent on that altar.
That's the other thing.
I don't know exactly how that works.
I am intrigued to see who is the original embodiment of the body. Is it Mark or is it Steven? Because it is, to me, so weird that Mark could have this whole life. He got married. They showed that he was a soldier or a mercenary or something.
Yeah.
And Steven never thought anything was weird until the events from the first episode.
The rumor has it is that Steven was blipped. Is that that personality was blipped. and that's why he hadn't been around, and Mark was in control for a long time. Who knows if that's actually true? But that's just one of the things I heard that would potentially explain.
Also, my other theory was that maybe Steven is a personality that came after that. Mark was the original one, and then just from the way that they showed it to us, we are to believe that Steven was always the one in control.
He was the one that we saw first, yeah.
But yeah, I thought that it was an interesting fact that he might be the first Latino superhero. I, before Moon Knight came out, I thought that it was weird to me that is he supposed to be Egyptian, because Oscar Isaac is not Egyptian at all, so that got me confused. But in this episode, the wife said that he is not Egyptian, so I still hope, but who knows?
Yeah, we see these Egyptian gods taking avatars from all over the world. Yeah, not exclusively people from Egypt.
You mean the blue people? No. You mean the anime? That was great.
Oh, I love the anime.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, that was an interesting
Which also might be the first time anybody in the MCU has said the word anime.
I think so,
Another milestone.
Yeah, it might be the first time.
Yeah, I could see
anime confirmed to be part of the universe.
Anime wasn't confirmed before.
Yeah.
I could see like Fat Thor getting down on some anime in anime. Steve, have you seen Death Note? It's wild. It's crazy. He has this book, and you write in the names.
Yeah.
The concept though of these gods kind of taking these avatars is interesting, because they they have a similar kind of way of dealing with humanity as the Eternals did, where they were like, hey, we're not gonna intervene, we're not gonna do all of that stuff here. But they're also possessing human bodies, like they aren't in their actual god forms, if that makes sense there.
If they even have a form.
I think it is kind of like implied that the gods are just either imprisoned or, let's say, in a pocket dimension, another dimension, whatever that is, the Egyptian concept of a pantheon, like for the Greek. And I think that maybe they cannot be themselves out in the open in the real world, so they take up the avatars, because they said that they wanted to observe humanity.
Right,
so my theory is that that's why they do it. But one thing that I love that they are doing here, that is something that I've loved of the Marvel comics and DC comics, is that Greek gods, Egyptian gods, whatever gods, they are all real. They all exist at the same time, and I think that concept that I really like. So it kind of seems like we're going into that whole thing here, because we already have the Asgardians being real, and then we get the Egyptian gods being real.
And then the god that the Wakandans worship, that panther god, is like a offshoot is not the right word. A derivative. It was an Egyptian god, and it's like their own version of that one there. Stuff like that is interesting. Those details, to see all of that. But getting back to Mark and Steven, it sounds like we're getting a third alter in this. I've seen people throwing out the name Jake Lockley, I believe is the name of this guy. I really don't know much about this guy. I don't think I've seen that one in the comics. I know I've seen Mark, and I know I've seen Steven, but that's it. That's all that I know. So I'm wondering just how many different personalities there will be in in this show here. Are we going to get more than 3? Do you guys think? Do you have a prediction?
I doubt it because
they'll be like, we'll just leave it at 3 because there's only 6 episodes here.
Yeah.
I think 3 is a good number because you already know there are, like, you have Steven and then you got used to the idea that he is sharing his body or whatever with another personality.
Sure.
And that's what it was established at the beginning. And now you have the mystery of there could be a third one. And I think that if you try to go any further, at some point it gets confusing. So I think having the third one out there being like a mystery is the sweet spot there.
Yeah, I feel like after they deliver the twist of there's a third one, it's going to be diminishing returns if they're like, also a 4th.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I can see that. I think the thing that I would like to see them do, this show is still kind of up in the air if this is a limited series, if there's going to be a season 2. I know Kevin Feige originally pointed to this one that, hey, Moon Knight and She-Hulk and stuff like that, they are kind of developed with the potential of a season 2 in mind. Recently, Oscar Isaac referred to this as a limited series. Meanwhile, the director is like, I don't know, it's up in the air. But if they do a season 2, I think that's when you do more than 3. Like, hey, there is now a 4th one that is new or something like that, which would be fun. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with this. I feel like this seems like more of a character study than most of the other MCU things that we've gotten. I think this and Wanda have been like, let's focus on who this character is. And I really like when they do stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed getting to know Steven and Marc. Perhaps I will enjoy Jake as well.
Getting to know Jake, whoever he is. Mysterious Jake from State Farm. What are you wearing, Jake? Yeah, dude, so for the second half of the show, do you guys have kind of things that you want to see? Like, Melissa, is there a certain like end game of this show that you want to see? Things you're looking forward to with this one?
Right now, the most intriguing question on my mind is in this 3rd episode, they do something really interesting where they need to get something off of an ancient map. But the ancient map was mapped based on the stars. The stars were different 2,000 years ago. So Konshu just straight up spins the galaxy around like it's a globe and takes us back to ancient stars.
Scratch.
And it's not right. It's not clear. And this is something that like people see. This isn't just like the Marc or Steven or the people immediately
they
in the
show
scene
us
see.
that people see it.
Right. The citizens of Cairo look up in the sky and they're like,
the
what's happening?
Of the world. Throughout the world, that people are seeing it.
And I'm curious how exactly what happened there. Are there going to be repercussions from this? Do we just have 2,000-year-old stars now? And now we have to redo all of our current maps? Was there like a space station up there that just got banged by a comet because the comet was there 70 years ago? Oh my God, this is
Oh
some
my God!
Bird skeleton just spun the world around too fast, and now a man is very stretchy.
No, I think if they ever address it, it is more of an illusion than them actually moving the stars because we have seen that there are the MCU universe is filled with habitable planets with sentient beings throughout there, and if they are really moving the stars.
Right.
If they're really moving the stars, they are messing with a lot of planets.
Right. Like, I don't think it's going to be that big, but for the second where you're wondering about it, that's a very interesting set of theoretical possibilities to open up to. And I do like the idea of like one tiny thing one character does, almost like, oh yeah, I can spin the stars around. You gotta help me and I'll go to jail, but I can do it. and like not thinking about anything else. And then this devastatingly affects Peter Quill up there.
I just imagine like Gamora up there just being like, what? Why? And then Garax is back there. It looks like a record scratch. Or something
He's never
like that.
seen a record. He
Right?
doesn't
How do you know what a
dance.
record is? Peter Quill, you have talked about this.
For people of the years, because since this is a part of the MCU, imagine people in London who, from Eternals, a huge Eternal came up and took someone, huge Eternal here. Now the stars moving in the sky. Before that, the blip.
Man, remember the good old days when they just found someone in ice?
No. The good old days
found
when
a
aliens
human
just...
in ice.
Remember the good old days when aliens just invaded New York?
Right? Yeah, man. Like, that was understandable. But
Yeah.
We just had a hammer in the desert. This is something that I hope the MCU does more with in the future, that so many wild things have happened that just the average human being's capacity for magic and things has like increased so much. Like, what is the average person feeling? I hope we touch on this when we get to meet Kamala Khan. Maybe something like this could show up in She-Hulk.
She-Hulk, yeah.
Well, I would love if somebody had like a legal
that.
case against the giant hand in the Indian
yes,
Ocean.
but the stars were not correct that night, so how could I have been there?
Can you imagine being just a regular plain person, no powers, no anything, and then you see in the news, or just knowing that Egyptian gods are out there and they're giving people power. There are Asgardians out there. There is, or assuming that mutants come out at some point, there are people with superpowers and mutants. There is a guy with spider powers. There is a guy that turns green. So many people have something interesting. So many people have something interesting. What about me? Why can't I do anything?
What's the guy's name from Ant-Man?
Luis, yeah.
Luis, yeah. I want to see him explain this. Like, give me like official Marvel videos of Luis explaining MCU history from his perspective, from the perspective of like the everyman man. That would be hilarious. That would be so great.
Right. And then we're going to get a bunch of scrolls on top of this. It's not going to end. Imagine the MCU could narrow down to the smallest little slice of life drama, and it would still be buck wild. Just all the stuff happening in the background of these people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Ignacio, what about you? Is there something that like you want to see in the second half of this show that you either have not gotten yet or want to know more of, or something like that?
Two things come to mind. The first one is that I do want to see them explain the Steven Marc situation as to how is it that Steven never knew that he was living in this other life up until this point. That is something that I do want to be addressed. I hope they do. And the other one is that I hope they show us Amit.
Yeah.
The Egyptian god. Because I don't know if you... Yeah, I don't know if you know what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, it's like this, the head of a crocodile, body of a lion, and like tail
legs
of
a
something.
hippo.
Yeah, tail of something else.
So I want to see what they do with it.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. We have already gotten these like weird jackals that have these like ghoulishly long gray hair on them. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, we also just got introduced when Konshu is this like bird looking thing. It has this bird skull for a head with this big long beak and a big old staff. When he like rearranged the stars and manipulated the sky, this was immediately after the rest of the gods was like, hey, don't screw with things or we'll imprison you in stone.
Yeah.
So he knew that was coming, but we now have this concept that these gods can be imprisoned in stone. And so I'm wondering if that's similar to what has happened with Amet, that she has
Ooh,
been
yeah.
imprisoned in this stone, and that's why she was betrayed, or something like that. So I want to know more about that stuff. I would like to know a little bit more about Arthur Harrow and his time as the Fist of Konshu. What really caused them to split up, and what was that day like when he was like, you know what, I'm done. Like this is it. Because that
broke
would
up
be
with who?
interesting too. Yeah. It's not me, it's you.
There's a lot of ambiguities in the show that I've been enjoying. Like in the first episode, is there anybody on the other end of the phone when Steven is leaving messages for mom?
Right.
Or mom. When he's talking to the golden statue man who doesn't react, what is their relationship? Can we hear from that statue man, please? I want to know his perspective.
Rico, yeah. I like some of the ambiguity stuff of just like, why did how did the fish die exactly? Like, we don't get that. It's just that maybe he was gone for a long time and didn't feed the fish, and so Mark tried to keep up illusions that he wasn't taking over, and was just like, I'll just buy him a new fish. But there's just weird things about like their relationship exactly of like, how long have you been trying to keep yourself a secret? How long has like, I want to know more of that stuff. But I do also just like the Indiana Jones style action that we're getting on top of this. It's just this one I feel like has been a lot of fun, and like we said at the start, has just been consistently up there. Like, it's been consistently like we get a little bit of everything, mystery and action and intrigue and stuff like that.
First 2 episodes had so much horror in them, and this episode was a lot more like an Indiana Jones romp. I like that it's got all these little different genres in here. I'd love to see more of the horror. Hope we cycle back to a bit more of that before the show ends.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, there has been a couple of Easter eggs in the show. There's been some books on like Mark's or just Steven's bookshelves that have mentioned Wakanda and Asgard and stuff like that. One of the buses had an advertisement for the GRC, the Global Repatriation Committee, or whatever. There's also been these QR codes that have come up. Apparently, if you scan them the week that the show is out, it gives you a free digital comic. And they've been, I think the first one was Werewolf by Night, which was the first appearance of Moon Knight. In that, of course, these jackals kind of look like werewolves. Interesting. But we also know that there is this rumored Werewolf by Night one shot out there.
I don't know if it's a rumor. I thought that was confirmed. That's on the docket.
All we know is that Michael Giacchino is gonna direct Werewolf by Night. That's it. That's all we know.
Yeah, that like.
I think we also learned that like the dad from Old is going to play the titular werewolf. I think I heard that. Don't remember that guy's name. Don't believe either of you saw Old, but that's what I know him as.
Didn't watch it. But yeah, I just feel like with Moon Knight being so closely tied to Werewolf by Night, hey, maybe we get a cameo from Werewolf by Night or something like that, or just these jackals involved somehow. Maybe we get introduced more to that side. On one of our other podcasts, the Captain's Log, a few weeks ago, I did my 10 predictions for the MCU. One of them was, I'm hoping we get a cameo by either Blade or Black Knight by the end of this Harry's, like after credits kind of thing here. I'm hoping that happens. I don't think it actually will, but I'm like, that would be kind of wild if it did. This would be the place to do it.
I wish that we get that, but I don't know if we will get anything more than the signing the boss, the books, maybe a shot of I think Maripol was
Madripoor.
Yeah, Madripoor.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think we'll get anything more than that. I don't think we'll get even a reference to the blip or to the Avengers or anything that happened, because I think it was a director that said that this show was made as if it were a standalone thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is part of the MCU, but it was made as its own standalone thing.
Yeah. It just they seem to be leaning into more of the like supernatural and magic side of the MCU. So yeah, to get things like Blade and Werewolf by Night and Moon Knight, it seems like potentially one of the roads, or one of the like potential storylines or teams that we could get down the road is Midnight Suns. And also, one of my predictions is that Doctor Strange 4 would be Doctor Strange and the Midnight Suns.
Doctor Strange 4? We even have. There's not even 3. We're just getting to 2.
Yeah.
What's 3?
Whatever. The next Doctor Strange after Multiverse of Madness.
Multiverse of Suns.
Right. What you see in another universe, Melissa, we've already had Doctor Strange 2 and 3, so 4 comes after those ones. So.
Yeah,
see, when the multiverse explodes and everything comes back.
There's another universe.
We got another universe is Doctor Strange 3.
I'm corrected some universe out there.
That's the only difference, is that they made Doctor Strange a little earlier and they had time to make an additional sequel.
Yeah. And through the multiverse of madness, we get it.
Yeah.
Now it is a part of our universe.
I think Doctor Strange and the Midnight Suns would be a really cool next Doctor Strange movie, especially with him as people's more mainstream, like in character to that side of the universe, if he leads that team.
I could see them also doing just Midnight Suns, not even a touch to Doctor Strange.
Sure, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's just in it. Him, our friend Blade. I do look forward to finally seeing Blade. We've heard him. I'd like to see Mahershala in character. I want to see if he's wearing the hat with his name on it. He
still has the hat on. It says Blade. What's your name? It's on the hat, idiot. Yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm excited for things to come because this show has been pretty strong so far. So hopefully
I've loved it. Yeah, I also want to shout out the great Egyptian music we've gotten at the end of last episode and in this one. I love getting to have that piece of the culture.
There you go. Good stuff. Well, I don't think I have really much else to say about Moon Knight. Do you guys have last things that you want to mention?
I also really want to know about Layla comes walking up to Mark in the street market in this latest episode, drinking out of a bag with a straw. And I need to learn more about this bag beverage also. How common is this?
I used to have bagged milk in
it's not bagged
school.
Milk. It's like juice or something. It looks like something she bought from a street vendor.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just out of a clear plastic bag. I need to learn about this. What beverages can you get in clear plastic bags?
Who knows? But yeah, I think that is about it for our reactions to the first half of Moon Knight, episodes 1 through 3. So Ignacio, let's start with you. Where can the people find you on the internet?
The people can find me on Twitter at Ignacio Rojasb. That's IGNACIOROJASB.
Go. And Melissa, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities, show where me and my brother Jams talk about weird old kids shows you feel like only you remember. And this won't be out for several months, but the last episode we recorded was with Ignacio.
Hey.
Ignacio came on to talk about some Digimon tamers.
Awesome. Good stuff. If you guys want to find me, I'm at YoKyleSpringer on Twitter. And if you guys want to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. So please go like, share, and subscribe. That would help us out a ton. And we will see you for part 2 of Moon Knight in a couple of weeks here. Until then, bye.
Bye.